Hey guys! So after selecting your tank and substrate, the next biggest thing to do is plant selection. In my experience, however, a lot of beginners do find it overwhelming when they see the vast array of different plants we have. To put it simply for you guys, I divided and categorized them as heavy root feeder plants and epiphytic plants. So getting into the epiphytic plants, we subcategorize them as rhizome plants, as with this Anubias nana petite right here, or mosses, as this Christmas moss. So taking a closer look at this rhizome plant, this Anubias nana petite has a horizontally growing stem, what we call the rhizome. Peeling back this mineral wool in this pot, I can show you guys right here that there are some horizontally growing stems right where the roots and leaves grow out of. Now you don't want to bury this guy. Burying the rhizome will cause the rhizome to melt and ultimately kill the plant. Instead, in nature, these guys like to attach themselves onto hardscapes such as wood or rock. Mosses follow the same rule. They don't have roots, however, but they do have small hooks that allow them to attach to smooth surfaces. So the hardscape we decided to use today to attach this Anubias nana petite on is going to be this spiderwood. The reason why I chose spiderwood is because it's very small in scale and fits very nicely relative to this plant. And keeping that in mind, there are Anubiases that come in so many different shapes and sizes. So keeping that in mind when picking your hardscape makes the relative scale look a lot better. Now there are a couple methods in our hobby on how to attach plants onto hardscape. The first method would be using string. Now there are some pros and cons with this. One pro would be the fact that it dissolves over time and decomposes since it's natural. The con, however, is when you initially tie it, the layers of it really show out until the plants decide to grow in. The same goes with super glue. There are pros and cons to them as well. The biggest pro of this guy would be the fact that you can easily hide the glue away and cover it with your plants. The con, however, is it could be a little bit difficult attaching it and getting the glue to cure in the first place. So I always tell everyone less is more. The biggest tip when using any kind of glue is just to use barely enough to fill in the gap between the hardscape and your plants. It can be very easy for you to engulf the plant with too much super glue, and this will ultimately suffocate and kill the plant. So after we peeled as much mineral wool off the roots, the next step would be to take some scissors and lightly trim the roots. As a result, trimming the roots of any plant will cause it to grow faster and bigger in the long run. So I'm going to go ahead and take this first half of this Anubias, rest it on top of this spiderwood limb, and simply take some string and wrap it around. There's no wrong answers here. You're just simply attaching and tying this with string. Now just lightly wrap it around, getting between the leaves right here. And you don't have to be absolutely meticulous about this, just enough to get the string attached. Now once you have a couple wraps around, all you want to do is just tie a simple knot. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to attach the second half of the Anubias using flourish glue. It's composed of a chemical called ethyl cyanoacrylate. Be sure to make sure that your glue is made out of this, otherwise those toxins in the glue will leach into your water and could cause great harm. When using this glue, however, it does take about 1 to 2 minutes to cure in air. So what you want to do is find the rhizome of your plant, take some glue, attach a tiny dab of it on the rhizome, and firmly press it on the wood. Now, if you held it together like this, it will typically cure within 1 to 2 minutes, but taking a spray bottle, it'll cure a lot faster. When it comes to mosses, however, it's not a good idea to attach them using super glue because of their small size. I personally only recommend attaching moss onto wood or hardscape using string only. What I have here is a piece of cholla wood, and what's really nice about this guy is it's very porous and allows for the micro hooks on the moss to cling onto because it has no roots. This moss in particular is what's called Christmas moss, and what's characteristic of this moss is that it grows flat. Simply spread this guy apart and flatten him out and lay him out on the wood. You want to be able to evenly apply this and as thinly as possible to prevent the bottom layers from melting and rotting away. So after we laid our moss nice and flat, we're just going to do what we did previously. We're going to take some string and wrap it around the wood. So after you tied your string onto the moss, just give it a quick shake just to make sure you don't have loose bits and pieces. It seems pretty secure to me, so this seems to be ready to go in an aquarium.